You never forget the sound of an entire world crying out. That's how the story begins. Or at least, that's how Dr. Lyra Tenok, chief epidemiologist of the Serathi Dominion, described the moment their skies dimmed with evacuation shuttles and quarantine sirens. To her people, the pandemic wasn't simply a sickness, it was a tide of unmaking. A virus so precise, so adaptive, that it unraveled Serathi cellular structures as if peeling apart threads of moonlight. They called it the pale fever, and they were losing. Lyra had watched entire cities seal themselves under biothermal domes. She had seen the great crystalline forests turn dull as their caretakers fell. When the council finally transmitted a distress call to the humans, those strange, soft-skinned newcomers to the galactic assembly, it was more ritual than hope. Humans could not possibly help them. Their biology was chaos. Their immune systems were loud, messy, undisciplined. Their antibodies were so aggressive they were considered toxic to most known life, the biochemical equivalent of a sledgehammer. Yet hope, even faint, can be enough to crack open the dark. That's how the humans arrived. The first time Lyra met Dr. Elena Wescott, she expected someone grander, someone carrying multitudes of answers, heroic certainty, maybe even miracles. Instead, Elena was small, tired, and blinking in the sharp light of the Serathi quarantine chamber as if she'd forgotten sleep existed. But her eyes carried a stubborn fire. "You're really willing to risk contact?" Lyra had asked, forcing her trembling voice into something resembling diplomacy. Elena only shrugged. "Your message said people were dying. That's enough." Simple, direct, human. But Lyra insisted on explaining. "Your antibodies, if not altered, will rupture our organs. Even a single drop of unprocessed human blood could kill a Serathi within minutes." "I read the reports on the flight here." Elena placed her medical kit on the table. "The virus is hitting you at the protein folding level. You don't need human antibodies as they are. You need what they can become after modification. Process, distill, re-engineer, transform poison into cure." The concept seemed impossible. Then again, Lyra thought, humans built their entire civilization on impossible things. The first experiments were a mixture of terror and beauty. Inside a sterile cocoon lab beneath the fading radiance of the Serathi sun, Elena worked with a team of bioluminescent technicians, creating a new branch of medicine: cross-species immunorefinement. Human antibodies, deadly fractal-shaped molecules bristling with aggressive potential, were fed into quantum filters and resonance chambers, stripped of the proteins that caused tissue destruction. What remained were elegant structures, dormant guardians that responded specifically to the viral shells of the pale fever. Elena called them softened sentinels. Lyra had stared at the shimmering violet serum as if watching a star being born. "You're changing the very nature of your own immune weapons," she whispered. Elena smiled faintly. "Antibodies don't have a nature. They have a job. We're just giving them a new one." But refining them wasn't enough. They had to test the serum. Volunteers came from across the Serathi lands. Scholars, farmers, soldiers, younglings with trembling hands, and elders who had already made peace with the next world. 3 died instantly from micro-resonance shock. 12 suffered internal burning. 27 emerged stable, breathing more easily, glowing with cautious hope. Lyra cried that night, her tears forming soft crystalline shapes on the lab console. Elena joined her, resting a gentle hand on the Serathi's shimmering shoulder. "We're learning," she said. "We're getting closer." "Closer is not enough," Lyra replied. "We need a cure." "You'll have one." Something in Elena's voice made Lyra believe her. The breakthrough came not from genius but from a small human mistake, something Lyra would later call divine clumsiness. A lab assistant accidentally contaminated a batch of refined antibodies with an artificial stabilizer used only in human bone marrow treatments. Everyone expected the mixture to collapse into biohazard goo. Instead, it glowed. A soft golden hum filled the lab, as if the solution had become alive. The hybrid compound no longer triggered Serathi organ rupture. Even more extraordinary, it adapted to the pale fever virus as fast as the virus adapted to them. A dynamic cure. Lyra recorded the finding with shaking hands. Elena whispered a soft, disbelieving, "Holy hell," followed by the fastest emergency production protocol Lyra had ever seen. They named it Auric Shield. Distribution began immediately. By the third week, millions had received the treatment. Death rates plummeted. Serathi skies, long dimmed by morning smoke and sterile quarantine shimmer, bloomed once more with the iridescent glows of healing. For the first time in nearly a cycle, laughter returned to the cities. But survival does not come without consequence. When the Serathi High Assembly called both Elena and Lyra to their central hall, a spiraling structure of glass harmonics and living stone, they arrived expecting a briefing. Instead, they were met with the full assembly in ceremonial robes, their bodies glowing in recovered health. At the center stood Grand Speaker Torvash, his voice resonating like wind across crystal lakes. "Dr. Elena Wescott of Earth," he intoned, "you have created medicine from your own evolutionary weapons, substances that would kill us if left untouched. You showed us that even the most dangerous aspects of humanity can become instruments of life." A hush spread through the chamber. "You have given us back our world." Elena looked overwhelmed, eyes glistening. "I didn't do it alone." "No," Torvash agreed. "This was a bridge, built from compassion, curiosity, and the will to understand one another, the essence of what binds civilizations to hope." He turned toward the spectators. "Let this be the moment we remember humanity not as conquerors, but as healers, those who turned their own biological fury into salvation." The applause was soft at first, shimmering like falling light. Then it rose, echoing, resonant, a wave of gratitude that washed over Elena until she had to steady herself. Lyra stood beside her, glowing softly in the Serathi way of deep affection. "You changed us," she whispered. "Not just our health, our perception of your kind." Elena smiled. "You changed us too." "Will you stay?" Lyra asked. "Will I be useful?" "Always." Elena stayed, not because she was needed, though she was, but because she had glimpsed something extraordinary. A people with luminous veins and crystalline hearts, who had invited a small, weary human scientist into their darkest hour and allowed her to help rewrite their fate. And because in the process, she discovered that the universe was full of species who could be saved, not by dominance or force, but by empathy shaped into action. The pale fever faded. The auric shield became a symbol across the galaxy, a testament to cooperation between species whose biologies were never meant to mix. Yet they did. And in that impossible mingling, a miracle took root. So that's the story of how humans saved a world not built for them, using medicine crafted from something that should have been deadly. But that's humanity for you. Turning our flaws into gifts. Turning our chaos into compassion. Turning our own dangerous biology into a promise of hope for someone else. Thanks for listening to this tale among the stars. If you enjoyed it, I'd love for you to like, follow, or join me again for more intergalactic adventures. There are countless worlds out there waiting for the next human to surprise them.